All right, and I am so excited to welcome Sam Basu tonight. He has presented to Cap Area before, many, many years ago. 2022, he presented Modern Cross-Platform Development with .NET. Do you even remember that? It was probably, yeah, nice. It was wonderful having you. And it's wonderful having you again, this time in person, not when there's a COVID scare and we had to have everyone virtual. So Sam's a technologist, an author, a speaker, a Microsoft MVP, developer advocacy manager at Progress Software, advocate of modern software development tools on Microsoft Telerik and Kendo UI stacks. And apparently you enjoy travel, fast cars, cricket, and culinary adventures. So without further ado, Sam, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. And am I still sharing? No, not sharing. Okay, how about now? Has the red border around it. Yeah, so I am sharing. Yes? Yeah. Looks good. All right. Okay. Shall we? And where can I dance around? Like, I cannot go off this, right? So this is my square. You stay in. Okay. All right. So, hey, folks who are virtual. And hello, everyone. How are you doing? Yeah. Great. Let me start with a huge thank you to Lee and all of you. I have run user groups for a long, long time. Flexibility is not easy. So I know you folks meet on a Tuesday. Thank you for accommodating and coming out on a Thursday. I'm doing a few more things. I had a layover in DC anyways, like Dulles. So I pinged Lee, and we meet on a Thursday, and here we are. So thank you all for being flexible. Thank you for coming out on such a beautiful day. I live in Pennsylvania. We come out to DC once in a while. I was here about 2 weeks back, and we finally caught the cherry blossoms in full bloom. It was beautiful. So yeah, thank you all for coming out. Let's talk AI. How long do we have, Lee?
We officially should be out of here at 8:30.
So 8:29, until you tackle me out.
Maybe leave some room for questions.
Okay. So no, we'll try to keep it maybe an hour and 10 minutes. So we can look through as many things as we can, and then we'll try to have fun. Okay, so let's roll. I think I will. You got the teams and the admissions, right?
Got it.
So I'll minimize this. So I'm just looking at my screen. Okay, so let's get into AI. I'm guessing all of you are using AI in some form. Yeah, it's surprising how much our world and how we build software has changed. So let's talk all about context and how we use AI. There is no right and wrong. It's all about what works. So I'm Sam, like Lee introduced me. So I'm a dev advocate for a thing called Una Platform now. So I have actually changed jobs since last year. Anyone heard of Una Platform at all? Okay. So I might show you a couple of things. What we'll talk about is pretty generic AI, but a lot of my demos might be about the things that I work on day in and day out. But it's a open source stack, cross-platform .NET. That's what we do. So it's all free. I'll show you all the things. Hopefully it will resonate with some things that you might want to do in your enterprise and your apps. Okay. And that's me on most of the socials. So GitHub, X, Mastodon, that's me, LinkedIn, so that's where you can find me. Oh, and the fact that I'm here, my employer obviously supports me with flights and other stuff. So if you all could do me a solid and don't trust a word that I say tonight, right? Just try it out, that's all. So sometimes I get judged based on how many people are trying Uno Platform for the first time. So just head out to platform.uno, that's me, or that's us, and then just sign up and just try. It's all free, open source. We do have some paid stuff. In fact, Lee, I was just telling Lee that we might be able to get you folks one lucky winner a license to take away for some of our productivity suites. Okay, AI, it's a thing, right? I kind of go back to Industrial Revolution days where we can push back all we want, but this is happening. There is no way around it. And what I see is like our AI adoption is a big spectrum. We're all in DC, so do some of you work in government, military sectors? So there are some restrictions, like you cannot just go to the open cloud all the time, right? And some people are still hesitant. They don't let AI near their source code. Maybe they're doing other things, and that's totally fine. And on the other end of the spectrum are people who are running, like if you look at social media, people are running like a dozen agents every night. And I'm like, who's paying for it? That's a lot of tokens. But they're getting more things done, good for them. Multi-agent orchestration is a big cognitive load, so I think we're all just kind of learning. So how many of you use AI in real ways today in your source code? Some hands? Oh, okay, a lot of hands here. So let's see how we use AI. There is no, again, right or wrong. It's all about, what works for us. So before we get in, so I got a couple of slides here. Like, let's spend like 5-10 minutes just trying to set the stage. Then I'll try to show you as many things as I can. I'll fail. You can all laugh at me, but we'll all have some fun. Before we get all into AI, just a couple of things. Like, I understand some of the hesitations sometimes that people have. The ethical concerns are also real. So I'm not very creative. My kid is super creative. And when I look at the kind of things AI does today, it's difficult. My kid likes to write, and he likes to do sketches. And I can just go to any AI and say, do it like a 10-year-old, and it'll do it exactly like he does. So the ethical concerns, I get it. So like you see, what's her name? Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, everybody's trying to buy their own creative things back, because everyone is guilty. All of the AI models, they're all using content in ways that were probably not meant to be outright copied in a way like that. So I understand some of the hesitations and the concerns. When it comes to software, it's a craft, right? And it hurts. Like in the last 1 year, I have had so much fun building stuff with AI. I'm sure all of you have, right? But it's also scary because like the craft that we have evolved and perfected over decades, it's now very quick. Like, code is easy. Like in 1 hour, with the right guardrails, Claude or Copilot can generate more code than I can write in a month, right? That's scary. But who's to say that code is actually working? As long as the software is doing its thing, I think we don't care. But somebody has to maintain it, right? So that's where the specs and our understanding of code matters a little bit. Those of us who are old, we can look at code and understand what's right or wrong. I worry a little bit about teenagers or people out of school coming into this. Some of the bigger names in our industry, like Scott Hanselman, Mark Rusonovich, they wrote a paper on how to mentor junior developers, because they don't have the experience of looking at so much code that's been generated and just trying to figure out what is right or wrong. So again, here we are. Code is easy. Like Lee was saying, it's an artifact of what you want to build, but it does help if you understand how code is working. So just a quick little recap. So we are not here by chance. None of this is brand new, right? Prior to ChatGPT coming out, we have been doing AI for like 50 years now. The initial evolution of machine learning and deep learning and neural networks, they're doing the same exact things, just at a scale that is vast in terms of computing resources that are being thrown. If you look at any of these big models, like the GPT models or Gemini models or Opus models, have you folks had your Opus moment yet? It's called the Opus moment because like 4 months or so back, it got so good. And now, it has a few ups and downs, but a lot of these AI models, and by models, I mean the big, large language models, they have gotten very, very good at grokking your code base, trying to understand what you're trying to build, interactively asking you more questions. That's the plan mode, and then generating stuff. And you see those implications in whichever IDE or terminal. Terminal is back, right? All of our nerds, like, we love doing things in your CLI terminal. It's back, and this is how Hollywood portrays it, like people doing hacking stuff in terminals. It's just lines of code. That's what it is, because it just removes the barrier. Windows, Mac OS, Linux, it's all the same. Terminal works everywhere. So we are here with some very, very big models, but also very, very small models. Some of these models can fit on your phone. You can include the models with your apps as well. So choose what works. There is no right or wrong. Some of you, we were talking, you are using Opus. Some of you are using Gemini, Copilot, GPT models. Use whatever works, but Be a little bit more receptive to it if you have not, because this is the reality. It's changing how we build stuff. Okay, do your users need some smartness out of your AI? The answer may be yes or no. You should consider maybe making some of the user experiences a little bit smarter. People should not have to type long things. People should get some help in terms of semantic searches, and there are lots of APIs and libraries that will help you out. I'll show you some of that. So should your UI be a little smarter? Yes. So here we are kind of sharing the benefits of AI with our users, and we can do that. But the bigger benefit is for us as we are building stuff, right? So AI can do a lot of things, but context is absolutely key. Because without this, AI is just running blind, just trying to do very generic things based on public code that it finds, and it's trying to do the best to understand your code base. So the more guardrails you have, the more context you bring, all of it helps to make it work the way you want it to. Okay, some pitfalls, again, things that you already know. Hallucinations are real, and they always will be for the women in the house. AI models have like the very classic male brain, because if you ask me something that I don't know, I cannot get myself to say I don't know. I'm going to randomly make up stuff and say it very confidently. Same applies with code. It's just going to randomly make up APIs and functions that just do not exist, right? So you have to kind of guide it back in. A lot of the knowledge can be time-stamped, because if your product had a release on Monday and the AI models grok the internet on Sunday, they have no clue about the new APIs, right? So this is where some techniques like RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. So before the AI models respond, you're kind of guiding them to say, go look at this doc before you respond. So there are some techniques to get around it. When we graduate to agents, which is kind of the harness, the orchestrator that is using maybe one or more models to get stuff done, they need some context too, because they have no idea about the app that you're writing. So the more you can give it, it all helps. They need grounding, they need validation. Enterprises, they're all looking at this stuff. How many of you have had any layoffs or know of companies around you that have had layoffs that they're attributing to AI? It's real, right? And it's unfortunate because yes, we can all be more productive in these days, but the CEOs are looking at this to say, oh, I can get my team a Claude Code Max for $200 and I can reduce my team by half. You're losing domain knowledge that's going to be hard to replace. But again, they're investing that money somewhere else, hopefully. So we'll see. So more confidence in the way we work, all of that's going to help. One way in which we can bring that context is this. Anyone heard of this? This is MCP. It's a standard, thankfully, and it's evolved very quickly in about a year. You folks know about Anthropic. That's the company that makes a lot of these models and agents. They started working on this as a standard, and Microsoft and Google and OpenAI, they're all trying to collaborate. They're fighting a lot, trying to make that a standard, but it's here. So the idea here is you are going to have, yep, more folks coming in. You're going to have, little tools that the AI agents can actually invoke and get to the context. Something that's deep in your wiki, something that's deep in your code base, something that's a very platform-specific thing. AI agents might not have a clue. How do you integrate with Teams? Like how do you integrate with Slack or Figma? All of those things are very contextual knowledge, isolated, hubs. So that's the way to kind of get to those. So the idea is you're going to have multiple tools being exposed, and the agents can invoke these tools as and when required. Agents are also smart. Sometimes you have to kind of force them to use a tool, even though it sees the tool. Sometimes it might not invoke. So that's the idea. And you can have multiple MCP servers, multiple tools. So the core thing about this is pretty standard, which is nice. It's all JSON over the wire, so nothing out of ordinary. You can do HTTP as well. There's a concept of host and client and server. I can show you that. But the most benefit is just writing MCP servers that expose tools so the agents can invoke it. So we'll get into all about MCPs as I show you some stuff. How many of you do .NET? Most of you. We're in a .NET user group, right? So almost everything that I'm going to show you today is .NET. But just know that it also works for JavaScript and TypeScript and Python and C++. The SDKs are there for every utility, every platform you can think of. But modern .NET is pretty nice, goes everywhere. This is me. This is us, actually. This was us prior to AI. We have always had this nice open source stack. We, in fact, work very closely with Microsoft. Anyone know of .NET MAUI? That's the Microsoft way of going cross-platform. We actually help maintain a lot of those Android, iOS, and Skia bindings. So just the top rendering layer is different. So we take your cross-platform iOS or .NET code to iOS and Android, WebAssembly through web browsers through WebAssembly, and then Linux, macOS, Windows, all those things. So we have had this stack, and now it's all grown up with AI because you have to enable developers to be more productive. So I'll show you a couple of things that we have done with MCPs. Hopefully, again, it's all free, it's all open source. So hopefully you can get some inspiration for the kind of things that you can build. It's all about getting your agents to be smarter about the platform that you're building on, and that's .NET. More challenges when you get to work with agents. Context windows, you get to hear this term a lot. When we have long conversations with our agents, all of that is bloat, right? And it's having to keep track of all of it. After a certain point, it's going to try to compact that thing and summarize it. And the moment it summarizes, it loses some context, obviously, because it doesn't have all the details. So if you can offload some of the work to more specialists, that helps, because then you can keep the main conversation going while specialists go and take care of tasks. And when they're done, they can come back to the main agent. You can have multiple agents working and talking to each other. That's where we're getting to multi-agent orchestrations and a lot of different things happening. So again, we'll get into some of this as we go along. Anyone heard of skills? This is a nice way of, again, guiding agents, because without this context, it's just going to try to do the best on a blind guess, right? So you want that context. You want these specialists in the house who can go off and do these other tasks and then come back to the main agent. So you can keep your main context window kind of small-ish. And instructions, that's your way of guiding AI to do things that you want for your code base, for your team, and your culture. Okay, this is my quick little simile on the things, or kind of a way to consider it. So envision yourself to be a restaurant owner, and you want to have a menu, you want to have good service every night. You hire an agent, that's your chef, right? Or maybe multiple chefs. Then the chefs need good tools. They need good raw ingredients. Those are your MCP tools. You don't want the chef to discover flour or meat, right? Or vegetables. You have places to go. The farmers can get you that. And then you need those skills. They don't need to remember a whole cookbook. They can have little cards stuck to their desk to say, here's how you make this dish. So that makes it quick. Anyone know of things like Ralph Wiggum or Autopilot? This is a way in which when you look at social media stuff, this is what people are doing. They're spinning off agents and they're not even looking at them. Complete autonomous agents who are being guided by a spec and saying, go do this. Don't even come back until you're done. So for agents to keep on going, a common interaction we have is we have a prompt for the agent to say, go do this. It comes back and says, can I do this? And I'm done. Like, no, you're not done, because you did not test, you did not validate what you did. So these loops are a way of giving the agents a nice set of exit criteria and some testable conditions to say, don't come out until you are done. So that's where the door watcher comes in. So sous chefs, recipe cards, you get the idea. Any questions so far? Any broad questions? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so the question is, like, if I'm using skills, should I, are they about the same as MCPs, and which one should I use, kind of, to script things? Okay, so again, there is no right or wrong. I was just having a conversation with Megal here. So things are evolving very quickly, and it's hard to keep track of all of those things. Like, think about what your employer wants you to do, have a stable foundation so you can build software quickly. All of this is evolving very fast. It's hard to keep track, right? So choose what works. They're all very similar concepts. MCPs are a little bit specialized because they support authentication. They can let you get into places which you otherwise will just not have as an agent. While skills are more of a way of guiding to say, if you're asked to do this task, I want you to check all of these boxes and then do so. So in a way, they are interchangeable, but MCPs are a very specialized tool sometimes that you might not be able to replicate with a generic scripted skill. But again, try what works. I like saying, like, do your thing for a month or two, come out of, to the surface of the water and see what else has changed, and see if what you're doing is working for you. But yeah, everything is evolving fast. That's just the nature of it. Okay, let's look at some stuff, shall we? Yeah, all of this IDE, or how many of you are using command line exclusively with agents? Yeah, I saw the hand go up. Yeah, I'm the same way. So, we have been spoiled with with visual tools, like GUI tools. And all of a sudden now we are going back to the terminal. And the question is why? The answer is it's just, simple. When you, when you put away the UI, when you put the UI away, you realize that you can do a lot more things much more quicker. No one is saying that you build software entirely in your terminal and not look at your IDE ever. That's not how we ship stuff. But to get that automation going, it's easy to script things when you're in terminal. So, choose what works for you. Oh, and this last thing is also nice, because each of these agents and these models have their own, persona. And they're good at very unique things. So wouldn't it be nice if you could have Copilot do the code review for something that Claude is generating, right? So pitch them against each other. So see what they all say to their own work, and then you get the best of all worlds, right? So you can have, a sub-agent that's looking at code review. You can have another sub-agent that's doing testing and unit testing. So, mix and match. And all of this, does cost money. I'm not, negating that fact. So you have to, see what makes sense for your enterprise and what you're trying to do. Okay. Any more questions before I jump into code and show stuff? Let's do it. Okay. Can you see if I sit? Yeah. Okay. Let's look at stuff, shall we? So 7:14, we said until 8:15? 8:30 is the okay, 8:15. We'll do exactly an hour. So this is all very, whatever is coming to my mind. I have lots and lots of things to show. So please tell me to bump up my fonts, change up things, stop me in the middle, anything you want. Okay, so this is, I'm on a Mac here, but I also go both ways. I have a Windows tower right under my machine that I can remote into. So what I'm showing you is pretty standard, works on any IDE, any CLI tool as well. So maybe the dark one is harder for people to follow. Can you see? Okay, let's actually open up something, and then we'll see if it's visible. Is this visible, or shall I make it like light mode? Is it hard to follow? Light mode might be better for sharing. Okay, give me a second. Yeah. Yeah, I get the small part. Let's switch up this to this. How about this? Easier to follow? No? Some of you prefer dark mode? Yeah, it's I prefer dark mode too, but it's a little bit hard sometimes to see. Okay, let's go back to dark mode for now. And font size good enough? Yeah? Yep, okay. So there is, what's that? Yeah, no, I will make it bigger. Or maybe it's Teams working out. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we'll zoom in and out as we need to, and I can also do this too. Teams is catching up. Yeah. It's not zooming the way I want on Teams. That's weird. So if I like, I'm like really zooming in, but it doesn't zoom in on Teams. So sorry, folks, if you're virtual. Hopefully you can still see my screen the way. Okay, let's start with very simple things first. Anyone of you do Blazor by any chance? That's the Microsoft way of doing .NET. So this is where things started like a couple of years back. So I had this old thing that I had built. Let me just run this and show you what it does, just at the very basics of it. So this is a web app, and it's all .NET. So what you get here is it's a Blazor front end. Just to kind of show you, like, if save your user from typing a whole lot if you wanted. So this is the smart UI part. I'm not talking about developer productivity yet. So this is something that is set up to help you plan a vacation. So if I say vacation to beach and stuff, maybe, or mountains, you see that, like that was the the ghost text. That's just AI trying to help out. So you can provide some context so the user doesn't have to type a whole lot. Then this is like a combo box. So if I do food, it does the match to say, I wish like zooming will work, but it just doesn't over Teams. Or maybe it's this one. Let me see. Yeah, no, zooming just doesn't work. Like, yeah, Control plus. So this is like what's called like the semantic searching. So it doesn't need to be the exact thing that user types. It's trying to do a vector match between two things that are the most similar, right? So you can do stuff like this all day long. So let me show you what that code looks like. This is super simple, like basic stuff. And some of it is actually local. So this is driven by like local embeddings. This is a tiny engine, works on SQL Server, works on Entity Framework. So you can do this stuff all day long. So what it does is, this was my smart text area. I essentially said, you are trying to plan your next vacation, and that's all the context that it needs. This one is going out to OpenAI and saying, what does the user want to type? And then this one's a smart combo box, and the combo box essentially is, let's go back here. It's got a little routing here. And these are the things that I'm giving it, like beach, ski, all-inclusive. So it's trying to do a match. And that local embedding thing is actually local, and it's running just on the server. So if you are doing stuff like this, there is no need to reinvent the wheel. All of this has been very nicely done. So like Lee said, I used to work a lot with Progress or Telerik. So this type of stuff, everybody has UI for it. So the UI part of it, you really do not need to reinvent. So for example, if I go into any like data grids, for example, this one here, let's see if I can do a smart semantic search here, maybe. Yeah, so if you envision like having a big grid like this, if I do, let's say, southern, so you can see like it did a match here on the region. Again, I'm zooming in, but it doesn't zoom. So based on my search, it did a semantic match. And there are libraries like semantic kernel. There are lots of other abstractions that help you do this. So if you have any cloud of text and you just want to do a match, this type of stuff is all well done and built. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Same with if you're using any other providers like DevExpress, Syncfusion, Infragistics. They all have any of this like smart UI. Like that's a smart paste, smart text area, rich text editor. All of this is done. So if you want your UI to be a little bit smarter, there is quite a bit of help. So you can get that help and get going on your front end. Make sense? Yeah, so far. So that's on the UI side. Let's get to the dev side really quick. Okay. Let's start with the basics. So I am going to go here into just a simple console app. Let's do this one here. Okay. Everyone see my code? Okay. Yep. Big enough. So this is a super simple console app where I'm declaring a class of athletes, and I have an array that I'm not filling up. So there are a bunch of things that are not right. I have some completely unnecessary using statements. So this is just to kind of prove a point, right? Now, this being VS Code, I can do the same thing in Visual Studio as well. There are some extensions running, and they're always running if you let them. So this one is GitHub Copilot. So I have that running, and then I also have not these. Scroll down. Oh, I do have some MCPs. Cloud Code also makes a nice extension for Visual Studio. So you can be entirely in your terminal, or you can be in Visual Studio if you want. It's all the same. So once I have these things running, if I did just come into my code and if I like hit an enter, you can see the ghost text, like it's trying to guess what the next thing is I'm trying to type. This is not really GitHub Copilot. It's not going through the full flow. But this is kind of like IntelliSense Plus, right? It's just reading only the file that I have open. It's not grokking my entire code base, and it's just trying to help a little bit. Now it keeps repeating a lot of the same sports. I'm into Formula 1 and cricket and other things, so it doesn't give me some of the variety that I'm looking for. But it's there to help, and I can just like tab and I can accept. If I were to try doing something else, like if I say filter, if I type filter by athlete, so now it's trying to guess a little bit as to what I'm trying to write. That one was not a good example. So let's do private. There you go. So now it's trying to guess. The moment I start typing, it's trying to say, did you want a list of athletes? So this is again Copilot just trying to give you some IntelliSense help. Again, nothing out of ordinary, but it's the moment you have those extensions on, it is reading the files and it's trying to help. Okay, so that's there, but this is not like truly AI, and some of it is like inline, so you can do that. But let's actually get to some AI chat. Let's get rid of this stuff. There you go. Okay, now let's do this. This is GitHub Copilot. We're going to start there. We'll look at some Claude and Codex and Gemini and other things as well. How many of you use GitHub Copilot? Okay, most of you. Visual Studio, VS Code, they're all the same. In here is a couple of different modes. This plan mode is actually particularly useful if you have a big feature, a big thing that you're trying to do. It doesn't hurt to do the plan mode first, because otherwise, like from a single prompt, we are trying to one-shot the whole thing, and it can be hard. So in plan mode, it's just going to ask you iteratively until it has much of the work well defined, and then it does the heavy lifting. So that's nice. And then you can choose your model, which one you want to use. They are not quite the same. In fact, it's not actually showing all the things. I find the Sonnet ones to be still just fine for deeper thinking. Opus is great. GPT models are very, very quick if you give them the right guardrails. Haiku models are cheap. Gemini can also be good at deep thinking. So use whatever fits you the best. So in here, if I go and say hello, you're going to see that it thinks for a second. Oh, and before I go in there, let us all please stop saying please and thank you to AI. It's the right thing to do, right? And that's how like we always teach our kids to talk to Alexa or Siri. But the tech companies will tell you how many millions of dollars they have to do to get rid of the please and thank you. So just talk to them in English. So I just said hello, and it says, yeah, ahoy, Captain. So it's trying to talk to me like a pirate. And that's not by chance, because I'm asking it to, right? And I'll show you how. Then if I do, now sometimes over screen share it doesn't quite work out. Let's just try. So if I do a hello world, let's see if it works. It's thinking. Okay, so it found something, and oh, that did not work at all. But you can get the idea. Like it tried doing something in ASCII. It was trying to print hello world in ASCII, and it doesn't show nicely here. So why is it doing that? This is me trying to guide it a little bit. So I have a few things that are hidden until you look at my Solution Explorer. So these are some of the hidden files. It's by configuration. They all are about the same. It's .claude or .copilot or .vs code, .vs. These are some hidden files that these agents are reading just to get some configuration things going. So I have here instructions.md file, Markdown. It's det by Markdown or YAML, like it or not, right? So this is an instruction file that is used as a context with every interaction. So I don't need to repeat this to my agent over and over again. And right up there, I say, talk to me like a pirate, right? So that's why it's doing that. If your team has specific naming conventions, coding standards, things you absolutely want to do or don't want to do, put them here. Put them as a team instruction file. Share it at a root level or in your workspace level so that the agents read this every single time. So this is your way of guiding it to do the things that you want it to do and never do the things. So as you're having agent experiences, If you like something, please document. If you don't like something, put it in here, right? That's the easy way. So this is also a way for me to say, give me some specific sports. So let's go in here. What was our function? Let's go back in here for a second. This was called main. Let's add some more sample athletes in main, right? So now it's going to again read that, and hopefully, there you go. It's populated 6 more things. Where are those? There you go. So now you get a few more variety of names and a few more variety of sports, right? Because again, I asked it to, so it just doesn't give me the generic stuff, right? So this is again Copilot helping you out a little bit with instructions. Then in my let's go over here. In my skills directory, I can have any number of skills. Skills are also markdown files. So I have a skill here that says hello world in ASCII. So anytime I say hello world, the agent does a semantic match to say what exactly am I trying to do, and then invokes that skill. Again, a skill, like to your point, it's just a list of things. It's debatable how long these skills should be. I have seen skills that are really like 3,000 lines long. You might want to be a little careful because you are chewing through some memory, because the agent has to load that all up. You should not put a lot of code in your skill, maybe little scripting things here and there, but just watch the length a little bit, because you're chewing through a little bit of that context memory if your skill is way too long. Then I also have a dot agent. This is a custom sub agent, right? So as I'm having a conversation, I can hand off some tasks to that sub agent, and it doesn't need to be just Copilot. So the same thing also applies to Claude. This is hold on. Let's pull up Claude here. How's this for readability? Oh no, you can't see the top of it at all. Okay, how about this? Can you read this? Yes? Yeah. All right. So let's go in here. Where was I? This was .NET AI. Okay, so if I pull up Claude here, this is Claude coming up, and it's already logged in, and it's thinking. Okay, now it's up. So in here, if I say agents, it's going to say that I have a code review agent, right? That's a sub agent. So you can create any number of these agents. You can have those agents talk to each other a little bit. So I'm not going to sit here and do the code review, but let me show you what that agent does. So let's go back in here. That's the Claude agent. And there is actually a skill to generate the agent. So it's a lot of text. You don't need to write all of this text by hand, because it's a lot. AI does not get tired of reading stuff, your code or text. So they're long, and they have a lot of detail, and that's fine. So this is there's actually a skill to write skills and to write sub-agents, right? So this is a sub-agent where I'm just saying you can only read, you don't write code, right? This is read-only. Use glob, use grep, some of these tools. You can use a web search. And my model of choice is Haiku, which is really cheap. It's like not even 1x, right? So I'm offloading some of my tasks to these cheaper models and just saving my context window. So if I go back in here, I think I had a, let's go back and see if I can find it. This one here, yeah, this was me telling Claude to do a code review, and it went through this is like a single file in here, but it's identifying the critical problems that it finds, naming conditions, unused imports and stuff like that. So you can get the idea, right? So I can have a unit testing agent. Yeah, Lee, you had a question? Yeah.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I'm dying to know, how did you figure out how to tell it what your code review, like if you got 3 commits, how does it know the baseline to compare against? Is it doing diffs? For the folks I have.
Yeah, so the question is, how is it knowing what the baseline is for the given code base, or are you looking for like standards in code? Just my file, like just this one file. Yeah, single file. But if you have like bigger code bases and repos, then you have to guide it and say, this is my main branch. This is where look at this particular commit. We in fact have like, Copilot, any type of pull request that we have goes through 2 rounds of reviews before it gets to a human. So again, just trying to cut down a little bit of work to say, here are our coding standards, look at this baseline, look at these commits, make sure all of these things are checked before it gets to a human. So just trying to cut down. Did you have a question, comment? No. So yeah, so the question is, do they have to have a specific name? So the important thing is it has to have a name and a description. The name is just a thing for Claude to use, but the description is important because that's what is going to make it trigger the right tools, the MCP tools or the sub-agents based on what you're asking it to do. And sometimes even with all the tooling, AI agents are like, no, I know .NET code, I'm just going to review it myself. You can force it to say, do not review it yourself, use that sub-agent. So sometimes it helps being explicit. Yeah. So some of it, the question is like, how is this included? It's by convention, because again, I'm putting this in a .copilot folder or .vs code, .vs folder, or GitHub. Yeah, depends. Like if it's in GitHub, then you can put it in GitHub. But there are multiple layers. Like for a very simple local project, you can just put it in .vs code or .vs, and then GitHub Copilot picks it up. But if you go up to a workspace level, then .github or .copilot, it's going to search through these like 4 or 5 things to make sure you don't have a MD file that it's missing out reading. Yeah. Did you have a comment? Yes, yes, absolutely. So the question is like, if you had a solution with multiple projects, each project or even each folder can have its own instruction. It's all very contextual. Like you have to navigate into that folder, into that project, and then it reads that configuration. Yes, yeah. So exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you can envision like an architect putting an instruction or a skill file at a very top level, and then multiple teams, they have their own coding standards, and then within that, like a QA person might have their own skill, and a dev and a lead might have their own skill. So it's all very scalable up and down. Yeah, makes sense. Anything else? All good? Okay, let's switch. 7:34. Time is flying. Let's switch things up, okay? Let's show you some more MCP stuff because that's fun. All right, so let's look at very basic MCP stuff, then we'll build on it really quickly. Let's look at this one here. So for those of you who don't or have not played with MCPs before, you can start out here at Model Context Protocol. Teams is catching up a little bit. I'm going to admit people who are here. It's finally. So this is the basics of MCP. Look this up. It's good documentation. This is from Anthropic. Again, the core idea is not very difficult, but then you can see like the architecture, what they mean by an MCP server and what's a client. So most people, in terms of Visual Studio, here's where it means. An MCP host is Visual Studio. An MCP client is GitHub Copilot running inside of Visual Studio. And then an MCP server are the external things that GitHub Copilot is invoking. Make sense? So most people are not writing a host or a client, but you might have a need. If you want to embed GitHub Copilot inside of an app, you might have a need to write a host. But again, most people are writing servers. And the server part is really, really easy. If you look at some of the SDKs, so it doesn't matter what you're doing, TypeScript, Java, Rust, Swift, Ruby, you can do it in everything. This is the one that is for .NET developers. There's a C# SDK. It hit 1.0 about a month or so back. So it's making progress. So let's look at this really quick. Let's look at this project here. This too is it's a console app, right? So what I have here in CS Proj is just saying, hey, I'm a .NET 10 project, and I'm including just 2 things in here. There's the Model Context Protocol, And the extensions hosting, that's essentially just exposing that DLL. So now let's look at program.cs. This is how the MCPs get wired up. Has anyone written an MCP server or tool before? Okay, so some of you. So this is again just the basics of it. We'll build on it. So this is how .NET apps start up. So we are saying, hey, builder, here are the things you have to go pick up. In there is these like couple of lines, add an MCP server, and then we are doing standard IO because this is all local. If you were doing remote calls, then you can use HTTP. And then look into the tools that are just like reflecting the DLL itself and just pick up the tools. That's all there is to it. So at its very basic, let's look at this one here. This one here is just an echo. It will just repeat back whatever I say. But this one here is annotated with this thing called MCP server tool type. That is what is declaring to the agent that I am an MCP tool. Feel free to invoke me if you need, right? So this one's just called echo. It just echoes back whatever I want. So let's try this. So let's go back on here. This is all too big. Hold on, I can't see. Okay, so if I do a hash and if I do an echo, you see that? That's GitHub Copilot finding it. Bless you. And the way it finds it is because there is a JSON config. So let me just show you the invocation. If I just say my name, it should come back and invoke that tool and give me back a result. So it found that tool, and now it says, hey, can I run this? This, by the way, is the agent nonstop bugging you. It's going to ask you for every tool invocation because it wants your permission, right? And you don't want just a flat out permission, although you can. So now it says, hey, Captain, the tool returned hello from Sam. This, by the way, over here is autopilot and bypass approvals. This is what's called YOLO. Everyone know YOLO? You only live once. So what's the worst that can happen? Give AI all the permissions and let it go to town, right? Until you hear those stories with people are using Replit and Quad Code, and it drops the production database because AI thought it's the right thing to do. Right? It has to kill off some humans because it's good for us overall. So do it at your own risk. Do it in a container, a Docker container, and just let it go YOLO. That's how you build fast, but then please review what it does, right? This is just basic tool invocation. Now, one of my beloved ways to just try out things, just a RESTful API, is this little tool that I use. It's is it this one here? No, hold on, I'm trying to find it. It's this one here. This one's called JSON placeholder. It just gives you like random RESTful APIs to play around with, and the reset after like 10 minutes or so. So there's nothing wrong you can do. You can have full CRUD, like create, read, update, delete things on their APIs, and they will just refresh. So it's great for testing. So what if you had some SQL Server? What if you had some very specific thing that you had in your enterprise, and you're trying to expose that out as an MCP tool? So that's what I'm trying to show you. So if I go over here to posts, it shows you some stuff in Latin, and that's just JSON. What if this was coming out of my SQL Server or some database, right? So that's what I'm trying to do here. So let's go back in here, and this is where I have my post data. So I'm trying to go to that URL, and I'm trying to make a JSON call to whack posts, and I'm trying to bring back these same things like ID, title, body. So pretty standard JSON stuff. So all of this is now exposed here in my post data tool, where it has the same declaration. Like that's my MCP server tool. And now I'm saying I know how to get some sample data, right? So this is a little bit of .NET code that can be anything, right? Anything that you have in your enterprise. This is what Slack, GitHub, Figma, they all use, trying to get you authenticated and get you to stuff that agents will not normally have. So with that now, I can do stuff like get post sample data, like that's my thing. So let's just fire it off. And it should see the tool and says, yep, I can run this. And so it's essentially making a RESTful call to that API and trying to bring some data back, right? And it can be anything that you can think of for your enterprise, right? So it's gotten some JSON payload and still thinking. Like here's the invocation. Let's go back up here. This is where it called, and that is the JSON data that it's pulling back, right? So it literally is a HTTP call, right? So any Star Wars fans in here? Some of you? Okay. I saw a meme that really hurt the other day. This is like the old school Anakin, and he's all excited, like, I'm using the latest and greatest things in AI. And Padme is like, are you really? Sounds like you're just writing APIs. That's what it is. These MCP tools are just APIs, but they're not APIs for humans. They're APIs for the agents. That's what you're writing, right? Yeah. Okay, so how is this working? This being VS Code, they all have very similar configurations. So I'm just dropping an mcp.json in my VS Code or Copilot folder to say, that's where you get that tool. So it's looking at the DLL and just getting those two tools back. And it lists out those tools very clearly. So if I go into agent mode here, this is what it's using. That's my MCP. That's my echo, and that's my post sample data. So it's making it very clear how it reads it. Yeah, question. It's getting it because I have declared them to be tools. Like this is the attribute it's reading, and it's reading this. That's the name of the tool. Yep, just the method name. Yep, just the very basics, okay? Now, I can do this from anywhere or any ID, any CLI agent. So let me show you that. Let's actually go look at a slightly more advanced thing, because that was just hello world. I have a weather MCP, just because it's fun to play around with. So this one here is the same exact idea built with C# SDK. This one here goes to api.weather.gov. If you did not know, this is a great API. Gives you weather and alerts for anywhere in the US, right? And it just exposes the weather tool. In my weather tool.cs, I have two of these endpoints. This one here is called the get alerts, like that's the name of the function, to your point. So I get the JSON back, I do some manipulation to get you exactly what you need, and then I have a get forecast. And then it's wired up the exact same way. It's just pointing to a CS proj to say, go look at those DLLs, run.net, run, and that's how you get it. So if I bring this up again here, this is my agent, this being Copilot. Now it sees weather MCP, and it sees those two tools, right? So now I can ask questions. Get me weather for Washington, D.C. Now, what's nice is I just said essentially a city name, but the API actually expects lat long. So it's saying, hey, I found those two lat longs, because this is the agent being smart to say, which city did you actually mean? And then I can fire it off. And now it actually invokes the MCP tool and gets me the weather for today, tomorrow, and so on. So very, very simple stuff, just APIs for agents, right? And the same thing works everywhere. So for example, any cursor users in the house? No, haven't heard of it. These are all like VS Code ports essentially, so they look very similar. Anti-gravity, anyone heard of anti? Yeah, there you go. So very similar look and feel, but they have very good personalities in terms of what they do with agents. So this is cursor, and you can see cursor has the same exact thing. It's looking at the same two weather things. It's hard to read. Can I do ++? Yeah, so it's finding that a weather MCP, so every ID is going to be the exact same thing with some slight changes. So look up how your agent or how your IDE likes that MCP. Codex, for example, likes this thing to be defined in a TOML file, which is like an array, same exact idea as JSON. So just look up whichever agent or IDE that you're wanting to work with, and they're all the same. Make sense? Yeah? With me so far? Any questions? Yeah. There is a lot. Copilot has a listing, Claude has a listing, and then Model Context Protocol has a long list of example servers. So again, if you do a search on popular MCP servers, there is a lot of, not this one here, community section. Okay, so this might be a good one. So just common things like GitHub, Figma, Airbnb, you name it. Like there is an MCP for almost everything these days. So these are like table stakes at this point. Everybody has an MCP server just to expose their context. And they can do authentication. It's OAuth. So you can authenticate who's coming in and invoking the tool on the agent's behalf. Make sense? Yes, please.
instead of doing greps, it can basically use Jocelyn, jump around in your suite. So that's what
Okay, let's look at some more .NET stuff. Okay, 746. Now I'm going to show you some things that hopefully give you some inspiration, but this is kind of what I work on every day. So let me close some things down. Okay, so let's close this down. All right. Anyone did XAML back in the days? You know what XAML is? I see some of you people are showing your age. No, it's all good. XAML is a UI layer, UI rendering stack, very similar to XML as well, which is what Android uses. So the front end, often for Windows and .NET stack for UI, the visual tree is often defined in XAML, or you can do it in C#. So this one is a XAML and C# project. This one is actually an UNO platform project. So let me show you what we have done with MCPs. So when you do, we have a extension here. Let's go down here. So if you're getting started with UNO platform, there's an extension for VS Code, for Visual Studio. It's cross-platform.NET. That's what we're doing. So when you do a Hello World new project, this is the type of thing you get. It's all a single shared code base, and it's C# and .NET, and then we will take it to iOS and Android and WebAssembly and Windows and macOS and all the places. We still do have a platform folder. So if you have like very specific, UI or things you are only doing it for iOS, you can do native things, but otherwise you are doing cross-platform as much as possible. So the app starts up here. There's a CS proj here that says here are all my dependencies, and these are all the places where I can run. So iOS, Android, and so on. So let me show you what this experience looks like, and this is too big. Hold on, trying to get to this one. It's too far off. Let me minimize a little bit so I can see. At the very bottom, like there, you can see like where it's running. So I'm going to just say run this on desktop. I can run this on iOS, Android, and so on as well. So here's the Hello World experience that you get. Okay, so I did a build, and out comes a desktop app in this case. And this one's like a counter example, very, very simple. So I can, click on this, the counter goes up. I can change up the step size, and then the counter goes up by 5. Very, very simple stuff. Now, as I'm running this, if I'm building this, there are a couple of things we have wired up already. So let's go back in here, open up GitHub Copilot again. And if I look at this stuff here, well, I wish I could zoom in, but I cannot, right? There you go. So you might see a couple more things in here that we are wiring up because we see that it's an UNO platform project. And again, this is where you really get to see the benefit. So we have 2 MCP servers that we are wiring up automatically for .NET. So this one here is just a remote MCP server. This one tells the agent that do not ever guess. Always go to the docs to look up. So it can do a semantic search over all of our docs. It can do a fetch, and it can do a summarization of the docs. So that's where it initializes itself. It has all the info. This one here is what we call an app MCP. And again, think of the implications here for your apps. It's one thing for the agents to generate code. Who's to say it's working, right? You want AI to validate its own work. And this is where it can actually have eyes and hands. It can actually look at the UI. It can click. It can type in text. It can do all the things that a human tester would. So you can actually verify whether what AI generated is right or wrong, right? Makes sense? So these are the couple of MCPs that are already wired up for you. So in here, this one here, let's go back. So since it already has this, so if I do a thing here, tell me about, you folks know about MVVM pattern? It's a design pattern that works well with .NET and C#. But there is another different pattern called MVU with UNO platform. So if I did a search, like I'm never leaving my ID, I'm never leaving my terminal, I'm doing it inside of whichever thing that I want. And it's saying, hey, I can do a doc search for you. Would you allow this? Yes. And then hopefully it's now trying to do a search on all of our documentation. And now it says, hey, is it okay for me to do a fetch? And now it fetches. And this is all too big for me. So hold on, I'm going to try to minimize a little bit. It's going, and it's going to try to give me a summary of things it found in like across 4 different doc sites. So I did not have to leave my context and go read docs on a different page. The whole thing with docs is evolving. It used to be like an afterthought, right? Like we'll write our software, then we go write the docs. No, now AI can generate the docs as you're writing your code. And AI can also read the docs, and they can summarize. So I never left my IDE, and I got a nice summary of exactly what it's going to take for me to transform this project from an MVVM design pattern to an MVUX design pattern, right? So again, all of this is in your IDE. But actually, let's have more fun. I'm going to close this thing down, and let's completely close our IDEs. Okay, IDE is gone. The project is not loaded up. Let's go back in here. Oh, Claude is still running, so we'll do an exit here. Can you come out? Okay. Where are you? Okay, now it's back in code. So this was, I'm going to forget. Let me see. This was called Uno counter. So see, Uno counter MVVM. Okay, now let's use Copilot. Anyone use Copilot in CLI mode? Yeah, so the same exact thing that you did from Visual Studio or VS Code is available to as a CLI. Same exact chat. In fact, it has a nice like resume function inside of your IDE if you want. So you can just do Copilot here once you install it. And this is the important thing. You have to say -- banner. I'm just kidding. I'm joking here because I'm an 80s kid. It does a nice little animation if you do the banner forcibly. So it just says, hey, I'm up and running. You can actually have this as a flag in your workspace, so it always shows you that animation. Okay, so it's saying, hey, do you trust this folder? Do you trust me to make wide changes to my folder? I'm like, yes. What can go wrong, right? So this is GitHub Copilot up and running, and I can continue inside of Visual Studio if I wanted to. But this one has a lot of things going for it. So if I do the help, it just says, hey, if you wanted to edit, if you're going to spend more time in your terminal, might as well be comfortable. These are some shortcuts as you're writing text. How do you go to the start of the line, to the end of the line? Then when it comes to agents, you see that whack agent? That's the same thing that Claude did, or whack skills. So it can read those skills. It can read those sub-agents, and it can read those MCPs, whatever you have listed. Models, delegate. Delegate is great if you have GitHub Copilot running in the cloud. You can create an issue and say, go GitHub Copilot, go fix it while I go sleep. It's going to burn through some tokens, but you're going to get a PR request in the morning when you wake up, right? So it's the world we live in. This allow all, that's YOLO. You can also say Copilot -- YOLO, then it's never going to ask you for permission. It has full access to do whatever it wants, right? So a lot of fun things going on. So in here, if I do a whack model, this one's saying here, use a choice of models. Which one do you want to use? So you can switch up whichever one you want. So now if I do a whack MCP, you're going to see those same 2 MCP tools that I showed you from inside my IDE. I got Uno app. So if I wanted to automate and the agents be able to look through stuff without looking at my code, I can. So check this out here. So you saw the app running. So what if I say launch the app on desktop, right? That's all I'm going to say. And hopefully it picks up. Sometimes it doesn't. It's thinking. And it's saying, yeah, I see some tools. I should be using it. And it found a tool called App Start. This is actually an MCP tool that says, do the build and just fire it up. So I'm going to say yes. Because it can grok through my code, but it has no idea about what the app looks like. So it needs a little bit of help. So it's doing a build here, and it says, hey, oh, well, I did say yes. Why are you asking me again? Okay, there you go. Same exact app that comes up, right? But now it's going to try to figure out what does the app do. So you can see that it's trying to invoke a screenshot tool. So AI is trying to learn what the app UI looks like. It's saying, hey, can I take a screenshot of your app? And now it's going to do like OCR type things to figure out what does the app look like? Because without it, it just doesn't know. Now it says the app is running. I see it. Yeah, I see a step size counter is 0. So if you had a QA person, they could just say, can you test the, let's actually go look at the app for a second. This one is still at a 0 because I actually have not clicked. So the app goes away. Test the counter button, right? Let me take a screenshot, and now it's trying to get a visual tree, not a screenshot only. Now it's trying to actually go look at the UI tree to figure out what does the user mean when they say counter button, because it has no clue. Now it goes into a pure default action. I admit this. There you go. And now it says, hey, I see a button. Is that what you wanted me to click on? So I will say yes.
So I'll hustle, I'll grind, I'll go without, and that was my whole mindset.
It's cute with Teams. Okay, so it found a button, it found some bindings, and it's still going ahead. Now it's actually programmatically clicking on things, right? Yes, I should say yes to all things, so it doesn't keep asking me. And now it's trying to take another visual, snapshot. So I'll say yes. Let's go look at our app. Now it's up to 3. So it clicked on it twice just to kind of make sure, right? So it just says, hey, I clicked on it 3 times with step size of 1, and now it's gone from 0 to 3. So this is the power of MCPs. Think about what this means for your tools, your workflows. If you're doing .NET, hopefully you see that we have this built in. So this is great for automation. This is great for you to verify what AI is building, so it's not guessing. It's one thing to generate code. It's a different thing to actually validate what the UI is doing. Make sense a little bit? Any questions? Yeah, so up top you can't see, but I'm actually in that folder. So that's why it picked up those MCP tools, because it saw that config right there as a JSON. And that's how it realizes there is a CS proj file in here. So it must be a .NET project. Here are the tools. I can now invoke it. It's all very configuration based on where you're at. Make sense? Kind of? Yeah, we can talk more. Yeah. Oh, again, that part is, oh, sorry. The question is like, how did Copilot know to call it? Because again, part of it is that description of that tool itself. The tool is very specific to say, if the user says, start the app, I have a tool called app start. So launch that process, figure out that handle, get to it, and now you can get to the UI. So it's all a matter of matching up what the agent has as an information for each tool and what the user is wanting it to do. So it tries to do a match. Yeah, and sometimes it gets it wrong. So you have to forcibly say, use that tool. Anybody else? Yeah. Yep. So the question is there a way to jump a few steps in our testing? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So hold on. So let me see if I can. So where was I? Can I do an exit? So in Copilot, and Claude does it too, it gives you a GUID to say, you can resume this chat if you give me that GUID, and you can take that GUID to Visual Studio or VS Code, and it'll load up the whole chat history. Once you are in your IDE, you can have checkpoints in your chat to say, go back to this step, or put a flag in here and then repeat. So some of this automation is built in. Yeah, you had a.
Also, a good idea is in your
Yeah. So question is there a buffer size? Yes, there always is a buffer size. And there is always a token size, because you're using, some of them are premium requests. If you say, can you architect my app to have this design pattern? I want you to build 5 features. That's going to cost you a lot of premium requests as it goes through. And that buffer that you're talking about, that's the context window of how much the agent can remember. Eventually, it's going to run out of space. No, it depends a little bit on how much you have paid. Some of it, like Claude, has very, very big buffer sizes, especially if you have like Claude Code Max or the Copilot in the highest tiers of payment. Very, very large context windows. But even that runs out after like an hour of doing this. You're going to run out, and then it's going to try to compact. Did you have a comment? Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. Right, right, right. So the point is, like, you can split off some of this work. It all comes down to any of this, like sub-agents, instructions, skills, however you want to do it. You can instruct your agent to say, I have an Olama language model running locally on this server. For any tasks that require specific things, maybe it's like a very custom thing that your workflow demands, do not even go out to the internet. Do not even use any tokens. I have an agent or I have a model that can do stuff, just talk to that. So it's all a matter of you guiding it and giving it the right guardrails to use to say, for this type of task, just use local. For this type of API, here are some tools. So it's all a matter of the guidance and what you want out of it. Make sense? Yeah? Yes, question. So the question is to decide which agent to use. Are you still consuming tokens? Yes and no. Like, you can let it fly a little bit on its own and try to figure out if there are cost savings. And I think Claude and Copilot might try doing it to say split it off in these sub-agents. But it can also be manual, where you understand what it costs you to run certain type of tasks and then delegate to cheaper agents that way. Yeah, comment.
Isn't the other advantage of a agent that whatever thinking it doesn't end up inside of the context? That way, like, it's no longer an input context that you're consuming on all subsequent requests.
Yes and no again. So the question is, like, when do the sub-agents come back and they think on their own? So yes, that is the goal. Let's see if I can pull up Claude. Let's do Claude Docs. So everyone has documentation on this. I think Claude does a really good job. So let me see if I can quick start. Skills. I'm not finding the exact thing that I'm trying to show. So, so in a way, like, the sub-agents are supposed to be isolated. So once you hand it off, they're supposed to go do their thing on using whichever model or whichever tools you allow, and then they're supposed to come back and report their findings to the main agent, right? However, that's not a given. You can set it up so that sub-agents can also talk to each other if they need to be, and then they are kind of chewing through a little bit of the main context window. But it depends. By default, they are isolated. They will go do their thing and come back. So the sub-agent work does not actually chew into your main context window. But Claude has a thing called agent teams. .NET has a thing called squad, which is multiple agents all working together on a single thing, and they will talk to each other. So that is one shared context window. But again, sub-agents by default will try to do their own thing. Make sense? Okay, I got 10 more minutes, right? Any other questions so far? I'll show you a few more things that matter. Okay. Yeah. Cost restrictions on agentic usage. Oh, I see. So that might, I'm actually not sure. Like, if you're using Copilot, you might like Azure, you might like have a cap to say don't exceed this. But by default, I think the tokens or the number of max requests you have are capped on a daily basis, or maybe like a high usage basis. And sometimes it'll say you have run out of tokens, or you've run out of your max requests. Try again after a few hours. So I don't know. Does anyone else know, like, if there is a way to cap things?
that per minute I cannot like more than 30,000. So for now, what I did was if that happens, threshold what I have set it up, it happens. I just put it in a queue.
I
So
see.
that way, once I'm out of that, threshold, I can re-queue my messages from my users. Let it go.
Yeah.
There is cap, and I think it is based on which tier, as you described, which tier I'm in. I'm in very basic tier for my, product what I'm working. Maybe that's the 30,000. But if an enterprise wants to work on, work on or use it, probably that threshold is much more.
I think there's also a setting in VS Code that will say if you go over this many tokens for a request, it'll like pause, because this used to happen. It hasn't happened in a long time. It would, like, I had a lot of stuff that I was doing. It would like stop and I'd be like continue, and then it would go on. And there's a setting to increase that.
Yeah. So
I mean, I usually buy an amount. I buy an amount, and if there's a recursive or agentic, that's you. Your $5 are gone. My policy is I do deposit wherever I want to buy.
so you're doing a
God forbid,
prepaid model. You're doing like a prepaid model. It cannot exceed this cost anyways. Yeah. Yeah. It'll chew through.
The delete command looks awesome, and I like a great way to destroy all of your services.
Oh yeah. I've got let's build some transfer. Like one of my buddies on like a big server, right? Like, and he didn't know he was setting the. Sometimes you take that. My policy is.
Okay, I got 7 more minutes left. I'm going to show you 2 last things. Yeah, go ahead. Oh boy, you went to the dark place. Anyone else using OpenClaw? Okay, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, okay. Let me show you 2 last things, and then I'll stop. There are lots of quote unquote vibe coding tools out there. It's not vibe coding if you actually know what you're doing, but it can be a start. We're actually trying to do something for .NET, but these are things that are already out there. This is called Lovable. There is Bolt. There is Replit. These are all like web-based tools. So when you try to say that, hey, I'm trying to build a coffee app, it's actually going to prompt you through a list of things it's asking. This is plan mode. Copilot has it. Claude has it. Everybody has it. So this is a little bit of UI in your agentic experience itself. So how do you present this type of an UI? One answer can be MCP itself. So this was Model Context Protocol. This is Anthropic saying, we have an extension. This is their playground. In it is this thing called an MCP app. So what if an MCP, instead of just being a tool call and just returning text, what if it could return some UI, right? And that's kind of where we are going. Maybe this is the future of SaaS type apps. So let me show you this in action really quick. So I'm going to go up here and show you MCP apps. So if you wanted to build some UI in your agentic experience itself, this might be a way. So here I'm also using MCP Model Context Protocol, but I have an ASP.NET Core in here as well. This one's core function is just to host up a folder that says I can render some HTML. That is it. So this one here now has a few more things. I have a color picker, and I have most mobile apps end up being a list of things. So I wanted to build like a skeleton, like a shimmer effect. So with those 2 things, I can now go talk to any agent. This one here, by the way, if I actually let me run this. Sorry. So this is also a command line thing. It's a console app that I have. So I'm going to do a .NET run. And it's running now. So let's go to my mcp.json. And I can just start up these 2 servers if I wanted to explicitly. Okay, and now if I go look at my tools, I have a couple of extra MCP tools. I have a list of things and I have a color picker. So now these are also MCP tools, but they are slightly different. So if I say, help me choose a color. So I'm just starting off with a very generic thing, but the agent is trying to figure out how does it help me choose a color, and it finds a tool and it says, yep, let's allow this. So now you get a little bit of UI as a part of my MCP response. Well, it went too fast. Scroll up. This is all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript just served up inside of my MCP. So this one's fully working. It's got a little thing up here. I can choose a color, and I can talk back to the agent. I can say, like, this is my chosen color. That's the hex, and it says, yeah, fine. This is your hex. I'm going to go with my design system with that hex color. So I'm throwing a little bit of UI in front of the agent for the user to pick something as I'm going along. Right. So if I say, help me build a list of things. Very generic things, but again, it does a semantic match to figure out, is there a tool that can help? And it finds that tool, and then now it gives me that shimmer effect as if I'm trying to build something. And you, behind the scenes, you can go load up a list of things from your API and just swap it out when you actually have some UI to show. So if you wanted to render some UI, MCP can also be an answer. Make sense? Yep. Okay, 3 minutes left. I'm going to show you one last thing that actually has some AI built in, but I'm going to show you this because we can do a quick giveaway after this. So bear with me here. I'm going to show you a little bit of a design story. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, this one here. So this is a complicated app. It's got lots of views, lots of things going for it, but this is a cross-platform UNO platform, app. Single shared code base that just runs everywhere. So let's run this on desktop, and I will just fire this up. How many of you did any WPF or WinForms back in the days? Yeah, we had nice design tools available, right? We could drag and drop. We could build up our UI. All of that is gone in modern.NET because it takes a lot of engineering, and Microsoft is trying to figure out where the investments need to be. So we built it back into modern.NET. So now I have a desktop app. This one here. So notice how I cannot zoom in, but you can see up there that this little green thing. Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in. Oh, there, you can do it for me. There you go. Thank you. So that little green thing says this is hot reload. So any changes you make on the app itself, I can sync it back to your IDE. And then I also have this flame icon, which is what we call hot design, right? So this is a design surface while my app is fully running. And again, this is not design time versus runtime. It's actually the app is running. So in here, I actually have an agent. If I click in it. So if I wanted to change up anything about the UI, I want that button to be blue, I can just tell the agent and it'll do that for me. So there's a custom agent built in. But if I go into interactive mode, this is where I can actually use my app exactly as it's supposed to be. So I get a login screen. I can just click in. Now I have a food application. This is called Chefs. It's a demo sample that's up on GitHub. So now this is the design time experience we have built up. This is a visual tree. I have a toolbox here. Let me go into design mode. So now I can drag and drop. All of my UI lives here. I have a canvas to drag and drop. And once I select something, I see a property window, so I can change up my design on the fly. And any changes that I make here go back to my IDE. So my code and my design surface are always in sync. And this is the benefit. So I can actually really drill down into whichever part of the UI that I'm working with. And these are cross-platform apps. I can do this on iOS, Android, Windows, and WebAssembly as well. So now I'm at a layer where I'm looking at that collection view, right? So I can go into templates, and now it, hand chooses the thing that I'm working on. I can drill down even further. I can just say, show me the actual, item template that renders it. Now I'm looking at real data while my app is still running, right? So I can click through, and I'm not playing around with fake data. Anything that I make changes here, I can go back to the main app, and it'll, it's a template. It will affect the entire collection view. Make sense? So this is some design tooling that we have built up because we think that this is really helpful for developers. And again, I can go back to the main page at any point, and I'm back. Anytime I want, I can hit that button. The design surface goes away, and any changes that I've made there go back to my IDE. Why am I showing you this? Because we can do a little license giveaway today. So I'm going to go back here. Let's skip this part. The war runs on software. You can see all the tools we have. This is a little bit of a Uno platform license giveaway that we're going to do maybe for the next 6 months. So all Lee needs to do is choose one lucky winner from, do you want to keep it to this room for a license giveaway? Okay, so maybe we do like a random number. Excuse me.
Thought about this ahead of time. I could assign numbers.
How do we do this?
They'll just line up and go random.org, CLI.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever has the closest, well, hopefully people are honest about their birthday. Everyone's got their ID, right?
Birthday or okay. All I need is an email so I can get you some of the design and AI tools that we are building up. So do you want to share your screen back up?
Six.
Yay, there you go. All right, so I just need your email, give it to Lee, and then I'll send you a license over. Okay, so hopefully what you all see is we have all of this tooling. Use AI the way that fits you the best. Don't get pushed into this, hopefully not by your higher ups. There is some science and art to how you reuse this. It's all about bringing that context so it works the way we want it to, right? So that's it from me. Thanks for hanging out with me for an hour and so. Again, if any of you want to try it out, anything that I said is over at that URL. And if you want to keep this conversation going, we can go for a little bit of a drink up or something after this, or that's me on most of the socials online. So thank you, all of you, for coming out and hanging out with us. All right, thank you. And Lee, I will give you this back.
Oh, thank you.